We generated 15,500 leads for our clients when targeting small to mid-sized businesses in 2025. This led to more than $30 million in pipeline, and in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how we did that, all using cold email. When it comes to sending cold email to small to mid-sized businesses, so we're talking your local businesses, the brick-and-mortar stores you see around yourself, any company that has up to 100, 200 employees. Those are the businesses that we are reaching out to. Now, the problem when it comes to many of these businesses in several different verticals is that their decision makers are not super active on LinkedIn. They don't have the massive corporate hierarchies where updating LinkedIn URLs, LinkedIn profiles matters. So if you're trying to sell to these types of businesses, you would face these kinds of challenges. So first, you would get poor reply rates because there's a deliverability problem. Then you might find that using Apollo and ZoomInfo is not enough. You either get leads that are completely a bad fit for what you're trying to do, or you don't find enough leads at all. In some cases, you might figure out that, even though you did find email addresses, those people are not really decision makers, which is why you cannot close them. Or you might run into issues where, because they don't update their LinkedIn profiles often, you're not really able to personalize your emails, which results in your campaigns performing suboptimally. Then you might be wondering, how do I follow up with these people? Why are my follow-ups not working? Perhaps you're tracking the wrong metrics. You have a high no-show rate. Maybe you're having lots of conversations, but you're not closing any deals. Or maybe you got it to work once or twice, but you haven't been able to consistently get cold email to work for your target market. So in this video, I want to handle all of those problems. I want to show you how we solve all of those problems across over 50 of our clients who target small to mid-sized companies in the US, Canada, and the UK. So without further ado, let's get right into solving each of these problems one by one. First is deliverability, and this is by far the most important problem that you want to tackle if you are trying to do cold email at scale. So when it comes to SMBs specifically, you want to set up simple horizontally scaling deliverability infrastructures, which means you purchase several secondary domains and you only use Google inboxes to reach out to these businesses. Now, I'm trying to give you the simplest, most effective advice. Yes, if you wanted small increments in performance, you could try different infra providers, but for most people, you would be safe if you just created 2 Google inboxes on every domain. You purchase 50 domains and just use those 100 inboxes for outreach. Send 20 cold emails per day per Google inbox. Connect your Google inbox to a software platform like Smartlead.ai or Instantly.ai and use these tools to warm up your Google inboxes. Step number 1, purchase 50 secondary domains. Step number 2, purchase 2 Google inbox licenses per domain. Step number 3, make sure you configure SPF, DKIM, DMARC records for each of your domains. Step number 4, connect your inboxes to Smartlead or Instantly. Step number 5, enable warmup. Start warming up your domains for 2 weeks at least before you start sending out cold emails. And after that, keep warmup on consistently and send 20 emails per day per Google inbox. Your warm-up settings should be, if you're going to send 20 cold emails per day, your warm-up settings should be set to sending 25 warm-up emails per day. And if you use Smartlead or Instantly, those tools will automatically vary your warm-up volume. You won't trigger any spam flag algorithms. So this is about inbox setup, and these are the basics. The next thing that you want to do, if you want further optimizations, if you want further improvements, is use aged domains. So most DSPs treat domains that are several months or years old as being more trustworthy than a domain that was purchased 2 weeks ago. And this is why I say purchase 50 domains. Even if you're not going to use all of them, keep them sitting in your domain registrar, in your Cloudflare, Google Domains, Namecheap, GoDaddy account. Let them age so that when you use them 6 months, 12 months, 2 years down the line, they have a better trust factor than domains that were freshly purchased. So age your domains. And this is especially true if you're trying to go after industries that use SEGs like Barracuda, Mimecast, Cisco Proofpoint. Those industries, you cannot inbox with a fresh domain. You have to use domains that have certain trust factors built in, which is why if you're targeting finance, if you're targeting companies that are larger than 100 employees, you need to use age domains, otherwise your emails won't get past the SEGs. With these larger companies, you also want to ensure, in fact, with all your emails, you want to ensure your emails are all plain text. Do not track open rates. Do not include links or images in your emails. Keep it all plain text. Do not use HTML formatting. And keep your emails short and to the point. Finally, you also want to be doing, and this leans into copywriting a little bit, but you want to make sure that your email is easy to respond to so that you get more responses, you get fewer spam complaints, which in turn helps you, keeps your domains alive for longer. It helps you protect your costs. Now, there's one bonus tip that I want to give you here, which is you can not many people know this, but you can actually identify the technology that your recipients are using for their emails, whether someone's using Google or Microsoft, or if they're using Microsoft protected by Barracuda, Proofpoint, Mimecast, whatever. And you can do this using a free API that is, it's accessible at dns.google/resolve, and then you input your email domain, which is the domain your prospect is using, and it gives you the types of MX records that are being used on that domain. So we do this using Clay. You can do this using any tool that is capable of making API calls. And then once you get the MX records, you can parse those MX records to figure out what inbox type is being used by that prospect. Now, this is helpful because when you figure this out, initially when you're just starting your outreach, you want to first send your emails only to recipients using Google inboxes. This is because Google to Google will have the highest likelihood of inboxing. So you want to use Google inboxes to send emails to Google inboxes initially. After that, once your domains have gained some reputation, you can start throwing in Outlook. You can start running tests where you test how is Google to Google doing? How is Google to Outlook doing? How is Outlook to Google doing? How is Outlook to Outlook performing? And once you have data from these tests, and this data will vary wildly across industries, which is why I recommend testing it for yourself. Once you have this data, you can now make educated, informed decisions on what kind of infrastructure to invest into. So if you see that Outlook to Google for some reason is performing better for your industry, now you know that the future inboxes you set up on your reserved domains should be Outlook. You also know that you'll get more replies if you reach out to recipients that use Google. Doing this exercise of identifying SEGs also allow you to completely exclude SEG inboxes from your initial outreach. Now, if you have a massive TAM, let's say 30, 50, 200,000 prospects, I would suggest don't even bother reaching out to companies using SEGs because the chances of your emails landing are low and it will hurt your reputation. But if you have a smaller TAM and you cannot afford to skip prospect, my recommendation would be to wait, age your domains, use age domains, send really low volumes, send simple 2-sentence email, and use that to inbox to SEGs. Next up, let's talk about list building and lead quality. And the first thing I want to urge you to do is stop relying on easy to use databases like Apollo or ZoomInfo. They are easy, which means they are also overused. I can promise you, everybody in the world, every other salesperson out there, all of your competitors, they know about Apollo and ZoomInfo. They are applying the same industry filters, same keyword filters, same ICP filters as you, and they are also emailing your prospects, which essentially makes it harder for you. You're trying to fight in a noisy market. And the other problem with these platforms is that their contacts are often misclassified. And that's not, it's not because Apollo or ZoomInfo are doing a bad job. They both source their data from LinkedIn, and many companies' LinkedIn pages are often set up by interns or people that don't really understand what the company does. So they just choose whatever category makes sense to. And that's why these companies are misclassified, which means you're often reaching out to the wrong companies that have nothing to do with your offer, assuming that they are the right company. And you're also missing out on companies that are in your industry, but that you didn't find because of your Apollo filters, because Apollo had misclassified. Is to start by first building a list of accounts, a list of companies, and you build this list by going where they hang out. Or instead of using SalesNav, you figure out where these businesses live. I'll give you an example. So let's say we were reaching out to dentists, and we wanted to build a list of dentists that offer clear aligner treatments. As an example, one way to do it would be to type clear aligner as a filter in Apollo, to apply the industry filter medical, and then hope we get the right companies. A better way to do it, to figure out which directories, which online portals, which boards, where do these dentists exist, where do they want to be found, scrape that directory, and then reach out to all of those dentists while mentioning that directory. And this latter approach is going to get you contacts that you wouldn't have otherwise found. It's going to get you more replies because your messaging is going to be more specific. You are going to call out the fact that you found them in a very specific directory, and you're going to get more positive responses because you're competing in a market that's not as noisy. And that is why you need to start by first scraping a custom directory. And I recently did a giveaway on LinkedIn. If you want, you can go to the link in the description. You can find a ChatGPT prompt that our team uses to find hidden niche directories that you can scrape to find untapped contacts. So check out the prompt in the description. Then you scrape those directories using Instant Data Scraper. You convert those into domains. So again, I have a YouTube video on this channel that shows you how to go from a company name to getting a domain using Clay. It requires zero money, free of cost. Check out that video and implement that. And then once you have the domains, you can find contacts using tools like Find Email. You can even use Clayagent. You can use Find Email, Lead Magic, Prospeo. Any of these are email and contact data enrichment platforms. And once you've enriched emails, you can now reach out to these people directly. Now, one thing that I want to mention here is you want to use Clayagent to also find generic emails. And reaching out to generic emails, it sounds counterintuitive, but it works really well when targeting SMBs. And this is not, this is based on data that we've gotten from sending millions of emails. And the reason this works so well is because for most small to mid-sized businesses, they might be clearing 7 figures a year, but it might still be, if you're looking at clinics, it might still be just a couple of doctors handling it all. And because the services they're offering are higher ticket, they're doing good revenue, which means they have the ability to invest in whatever it is that you're selling them. So reaching out to generic emails is actually going to get you in front of the decision makers. And most people don't do it because they think it's a waste of their time. So again, as with everything else, when most people don't want to do something, doing that is usually going to be working out in your favor. The other reason to reach out to generic emails is because many of these inboxes are service inboxes, which means they will respond to your email no matter what. And more replies indicates to the ESPs that you're sending emails to people who you know, which means it will further boost your deliverability. So worst case, reaching out to generic emails is going to help with your deliverability, and best case, you end up reaching a decision maker. Some generic emails are spam traps as well, but if you're scraping these emails from the business's websites, from their Facebook pages, from places where the business put it out themselves, these emails are unlikely to be spam traps. The next thing is personalization. And if you're on LinkedIn, if you're looking up cold email advice, you would get lots of advice from people telling you about fancy tactics to personalize your emails, to use intent signals, to reach out to people who commented on a LinkedIn post. Now, the problem is most of that doesn't work if you're selling to SMBs because they are not active on LinkedIn in the first place, most of them. And this is why all of your personalization and relevance needs to come from your offer, from your messaging, and from the prospect's company. So here's what I mean. When you're building lists, instead of building one massive list using an Apollo industry filter like we discussed earlier, build smaller lists of 200, 500, 1000 prospects from different directories. Then in your copy, in your messaging, reference where you found them. So say that I found you on this board of directors or this board of doctors or so-and-so associations page. This will make people want to open your email because they think, oh wow, they found me on that specific associations page. What is this about? The curiosity will get them to open and read your email. Then differentiate yourself by sending specific emails. So if you're helping businesses with marketing, instead of just saying we'll improve your traffic, we'll get you more clicks, more impressions, or more leads, say that we'll get you more clear aligner patients. We'll get you more root canal procedure patients. This is more specific. This is what gets people to respond because now they believe you, they trust you to understand their industry. Then use company level personalization. So you don't have a lot of information from their LinkedIn, which means you'll have to go to their website and identify things like, if you're selling SEO services, look at their website traffic, use the SEMrush API. If not, you can usually scrape their websites to find stuff from their about section that you can reference. You can find their customers' testimonials on a website that you can reference in your copy. So use the website to personalize your emails and don't rely on LinkedIn. Next up is follow-ups. So with follow-ups, keep it super simple. A lot of people send 4, 5, 6 emails in a sequence. And this usually backfires because if someone did respond to you the first couple of times, it likely was because whatever you said in those first 2 emails did not quite resonate. So now when you keep sending them more emails and they see it in their inbox that this is a long chain of emails, it just becomes annoying. They just start to feel, why are they not leaving me alone? What we like to do instead is we do a maximum of one or a maximum of 2 touches in our email sequences. So we send them 2 emails. If they don't respond, we let them be, and then we reach out again in 60 to 90 days with completely different messaging. And that should be your approach if you're targeting SMBs, because you will have, with SMBs, when I say SMBs, I'm assuming your TAM is at least 20,000 people. So you can sustainably reach out to all of those 20,000 people every month or every couple of months and not burn your lists. Next is metrics. Any kind of outreach is not going to scale unless you have your metrics dialed in. So these are the 3 numbers that you want to be tracking. First is your PCPL. A lot of people worry about useless metrics like open rates or click rates or whatever. The only thing that matters when it comes to your cold email sequences is your PCPL. And PCPL is defined as prospects contacted per lead. So that is the number of prospects you contacted divided by the number of leads you generated. And the lower this number, the better your campaigns are doing. So your metric, your KPI, your benchmark should be to get this number to be below 500 so that you're getting one lead for less than 500 prospects contacted. Now, if you're not hitting that metric, it's going to be because of one of two reasons. One, deliverability. Two, offer targeting copy, the strategy. So if it's deliverability, the simplest solution is to switch out your domains, use different inboxes, change up your copy, avoid spam words, listen to the guidelines that I gave you earlier. A good indicator of whether or not this is a deliverability problem is if your reply rates are below 2%, including out of office replies, chances are your PCPL is high because your deliverability is poor. Now, if your reply rate is above 2%, but your PCPL is still less than 500, now it's an offer strategy, specificity, or list building problem. So now you need to start debugging, start breaking down, start experimenting with different variables for all of those things and figure out how to get your PCPL below 500. The third metric, and this is important when targeting local businesses, is the show up rate. Because many times when you're targeting these kinds of industries, their show up rates will be poor. And it's not because they don't want to talk to you, but it's usually because if you're targeting businesses, especially local service businesses, most of the time they're out and about. They're in their truck, they're at a site, they're working, and they just happen to miss a Zoom call. So now how do you fix that show up rate? First, and the most obvious solution, but also the thing that a lot of people hesitate in doing, is just call these people. Don't wait for them to show up to Zoom. Don't go about saying things like, if they don't show up to the Zoom, they were not interested in the first place. Just pick up the phone and call them, right? So call them before your call on the day, in the morning. Give them a phone call. Hi, John, we're set to meet at 2 p.m. Are we still good for that time? And this alone will help you with your show up rates. Send them a text message a few minutes before the call. If they don't rock up to Zoom, call them again and have your discovery, have your intro call on the phone. A lot of the times these people will buy from you while on the phone. You don't need to necessarily get them to Zoom. So use the phone, text them, call them. These prospects have the money to spend. These are all businesses with not too many people, decent margins, and they want to grow. These are ambitious business owners, but they also tend to miss things and they're not as organized as your typical corporate employee. And finally, when it comes to responses, this is more about speed to lead. So whenever someone responds positively to your emails, make sure you respond to them as quickly as possible. And I'm not just talking about email responses. I'm also talking about, as soon as there's a positive response, get their phone number, give them a phone call immediately. That's the quickest way to get them booked on your calendar rather than waiting for them to reply to your emails and book a call using your calendar link. If you want to sign more SMB clients using cold email, this should be your playbook. Deliverability first, scrape niche directories. Don't hesitate from reaching out with generic or personal emails. Use company level personalization. Keep your sequences short and sweet. Track PCPLs as your key metric. Do not track opens. And call your prospects. Get them on the phone instead of waiting for them to book using your calendar link. I hope this helps. This is the exact process that we've used for the last 5 years to help our clients consistently generate pipeline. 2025, we generated over $31 million in pipeline, a total of 15,500 leads across all of our clients. And if that's something you want us to build for yourself, go to the website hyperke.com/chat and book a call with myself or my team. We'll walk you through, we'll understand your situation, build you a custom outbound plan, and show you how you could get similar results for yourself. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one.